Hey, what's up guys? So if you saw the previous video, you know that I went out to a Best Buy and did the PlayStation VR demo that they had going. I think it's running all throughout this month and next month. I'm going to leave a link down in the description so you can check out if the PlayStation VR is demoing out in your area. Just go there, put in your zip code, and see if there's any stores that are near you doing it. And so for the demo, waiting in line, you only got to choose one demo to try it out. Now, if there was no one in line, I'm sure he would just let you stay there, but at my experience, there was always at least about 5 or 6 people ahead of me. And so once you get up there, you can only choose one demo. Most of the crowd seemed to be choosing the Valkyrie game. There's only 5 demos you can choose from at the Best Buy location. If you have the GameStop location, I heard that they are showing the Heist over there, but they can't show it at Best Buy for whatever reason. I guess because the game includes violence or something. Was the first one I started out with the Valkyrie game, which is an actual game. I know a lot of people are kind of like, you know, is it a game or is it not a game? You know, is the VR? And that's kind of a confusing point right off the bat, is that you would think with everything with the VR it would be a game. Some stuff is an experience, some stuff is video games, some stuff requires just the VR and your head movement. Some stuff requires the 2 PlayStation Move controllers. So it's a little bit daunting when you say like, oh well, this is VR. Most people think VR is just the headset, and they're not thinking like, oh, you're gonna need the 2 controllers, the camera, you know, a regular PlayStation controller, you know. So that's kind of confusing. I can see that being down the line, like some people buying stuff and being confused if it's a game or an experience. And so, like I said, I did the Eve as the first one, and this is the more intense one. So you're starting off in a spacecraft. They give you a 3, 2, 1, and they launch you out into space. Now, this is where the VR kind of comes in handy, and I think it's more than just a niche product, at least for that aspect of this game. And the fact that you're in space, you can look, you know, all around you. You're seeing spaceships, you're seeing, you know, the stars, you're seeing planets. It's really kind of a really like cool effect. I mean, yes, you've played video games where you're kind of doing the space travel, but it's a bit different when you're in VR, when you're encompassed in the world and you're, you know, steadily looking around and seeing, you know, everything that's going on around you. And another cool point, I think, is when stuff is happening off in the distance or on your left side, and you can choose to look at it, you can choose not to, at least in this game. That's what I kind of like about VR, is that it's mostly your point of view, where you go. And not like in normal video games where they kind of center what you have to always see. This one, it's, you know, there was explosions going on the left side, and explosions, you know, and ships flying by, and it's a really neat experience. But I thought, you know, I'm not gonna get sick. I'm actually feeling, you know, okay the first couple minutes of the demo, and then I was like, well, let's see what can we do with this. So I did some barrel rolls. I was barrel rolling around, and while I was doing that, I was kind of like looking around, and that's when it kind of hit me, and I kind of got a little bit nauseated, a little bit, you know. Afterwards, you know, I felt it for a little bit of time. So that's another concern I have, is that a lot of people are not used to VR. They're not used to, especially if you're not, you know, if you're not prone to motion sickness and roller coasters and extreme rides and simulators. You know, putting on a VR headset, it could mess with your mind. I mean, there was at least one time period where I felt my body kind of, it was like a trickery in the mind to the body, and I felt like I was being lifted up for a second, which was just, it was just a really odd experience, especially because you're sitting in a chair the whole time of doing the demo. But, you know, there was that noticeable. And also something I also noticed is the fact that they had the telescreen, they had the TV screen going, and you can see what the person in the chair was seeing in their you can see what the person was seeing in their VR headset. Now what I noticed is that the graphics on the television look really, really crisp. They look really clean and good. But when you sat in the VR experience, when you put it on and you were looking at the graphics, I'm not sure if these are just because it's a representation of the demos, or if that's kind of how the final product is going to be, that most games are just not going to be as crispy, or, you know, are they going to say if you get the new PlayStation Neo that it's going to help improve the graphics of the VR? These are, you know, kind of things that are just going to have to come in time as we, you know, get closer to the launch and stuff. So as you know, I wear glasses, and I have demoed another product used by another company, and I'm not going to give out any details, but I will say that product, it was not fitting very comfortably with me wearing glasses. It was almost snug to the point where my glasses were like pushed up against me, and it was comfortable and blurry. So I really did not enjoy that experience. Now what I will say about this VR headset is the guy said it will fit over your glasses and work with it. It really does. I mean, it's very comfortable as far as me wearing glasses. It really felt comfortable, and the fact that you can push out the I guess the visor or whatever with it easy. There's a button that you just push it and you can slide it in or out to kind of fit your comfortable need. So that is a very big plus, is that I think they developed this VR headset quite well. It's comfortable to wear. It's got a little bit of weight, but not too heavy. As you can see in the next game I'm going to talk about, I was definitely whipping my head around. I was looking all around, and not once was I feeling like, oh man, this is heavy, too heavy for me to keep doing that. The next game I did was Ocean Descent, which I just kept calling it the shark game, is how most people know it as. A lot of people were confused about this one too. They thought it was a game. Normally when you describe it and the way it looks, it does look like it would be a video game, but it's more of a tech demo to show off the VR experience and to show off, I would think, the lighting. So you're in a cage and they lower you into the ocean. Right off the bat, I really love this experience. Now, once again, the graphics, like I was saying, the graphics to the television and the graphics to the VR headset was, you know, still not very pleased. It was still not very pleasing, but so I was saying this time around, unlike with Eve where you're kind of playing the game, this one you really get to take a feel for how the graphics can be, how the lighting can be, and how the depth can be. So I was looking all around, and what was cool is when you looked up, you would actually see the rope all the way up to the boat, all the way up, you know, in the ocean, on the top of the ocean basically. And it was so cool because it really added that depth that you was really down into the ocean. And there was a lot of little things that you can look at. So you can look below you, you can look all around the cage, which was cool. And you can see, you know, stuff like, you know, on the left side, if you weren't paying attention, you can see little turtles. And in the cage there was like a, I don't know, what is it called, like a electronic board or something that had like a meter on it, and you can just stare at it and see the numbers moving and the actual meter like clicking down and stuff when you went deeper into the ocean. So little touches like that was really, really cool, I found. Also the jelly scene, that was really, really cool, where like you're in this very dark part of the ocean and all of a sudden you see all these jellyfishes that glowing, and they're kind of like coming up by the cage and stuff. And it was really cool because I looked down and all I can see was kind of the darkness of the ocean, and then these jellyfish is kind of coming up. So that was another neat touch. And also the biggest, you know, touch is the shark. Obviously, I've never seen a shark in person other than Jaws on, you know, the Universal Studios attraction, so I wouldn't count that very much. So this was really a neat experience to kind of come, face to face with a shark. I'll admit I was really nervous doing this experience because I wasn't sure if I was going to jump or, react very crazily because I'm in the VR world. And you kind of do really lose yourself when you're in the VR experience. That's the craziness, is that you're not really thinking like, oh, I'm sitting in a chair in this room and there's tons of people staring at me and also at the television screen. You really forget that once you're kind of in the world. So it was very neat to see the shark come right up close. I'll admit I jumped the first time I saw him, but most of the other times I kept my eye on the shark the entire time. So yeah, it was really neat experience. I think that one is very cool. It's not really a game, and I don't think I would spend too much money on that. I think if it was like maybe $2 or $3, it's kind of worth it for that part. That's the kind of thing, is that I think if it was $2 or $3, it's kind of worth it for just the experience and see other people kind of experience it. But I wouldn't say that's like a $10 or $15 game. So that brings me to another situation about PlayStation VR, is that they say they have 50 titles available by launch. The thing is, I've seen a lot of games, I've seen some experiences, I've seen some stuff that uses the Move controller, the regular controller. That's the thing, is that are we getting 50 actual games? Are we getting 25 games and 25 experiences? We're not really sure. I mean, I haven't seen too many games to solidify this to be a day one purchase, to say, oh, they have these titles that you can play at launch that are going to be awesome. So far, it's a lot of experiences, tech demos, and a few games sprinkled throughout it. And also, what kind of, what's the price that you would pay for a VR game? Being that you're not going to play in the VR world, at least from my perspective, I don't know if I would sit in the PlayStation VR for multiple hours like I would, when I'm playing GTA or something. That's another thing, is that, I only had I think 7-8 minutes in the demo, and it seemed longer than it felt. So I could only imagine if you sat down and you wanted to spend 30 minutes playing a game, I don't know if you're going to play longer than that, with this kind of experience, especially if the screen is not as crisp. And, they're saying that they have the cinema mode where you can sit down and watch, movies and stuff on the big screen. And I asked the guy, so he said it would essentially be like a IMAX screen, but a little bit more closer. I'm not quite sure if that's going to be an enjoyable experience to watch stuff, especially if you're watching, movies that are 2 hours long, or you're going to sit there with the VR headset on. So that's another kind of issue I have about the PlayStation VR. I can see the experience of what we got to play was very wide as far as the playroom, and you're going to need this, I guess, because in case you're using the things, they don't want you to kind of hit walls and stuff, so you need to have a big play area to be able to move around in and not have it be too much of a problem. So if you had the Kinect, rest in peace, or if you had the Nintendo Wii and you know about the movement, that you want to have a lot of room for this. So keep that in mind. If you have a small, video game area, this might not be for you, except for maybe just doing the cinema stuff or watching videos in it or whatnot. But, with cheaper options and stuff, and phones now doing kind of this VR experience, time will tell. Google just, in the past few months announced they're doing VR, and that's going to be a cheaper alternative. You got the HTC, you got all these different companies doing VR, so I'm not sure if it's just going to be the latest craze, or, is the PlayStation VR going to be the one that's successful? So that is it for my PlayStation VR thoughts, concerns, and my review of the product overall. If you have any questions about it, leave it down in the comments section. As well, if you're interested in this PlayStation VR, leave it down also in the comment section. So make sure to hit a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already for more content like this on the way and more other videos on the way. I might start doing some retro video game stuff on the channel as well. Since I've been a video gamer since I was a kid, I have a large number of, titles and stuff to show off. And if you guys seem to enjoy that. So anyway guys, thank you for watching, and as always, until next time, peace.